Hello friends. Welcome to the story Nook by Nma. Please subscribe, like, comment and share with your friends and families. Also turn on post notifications so you don't miss future posts from this channel. Your support means the world to us. Thank you as you do so. Enjoy. In the heart of an ancient forest, far from the noise of men, the night sky stretched wide, heavy with stars. The full moon rose, its silver glow spilling across the treetops, painting every leaf in shimmering light. But this was no ordinary night. For in this forest, on nights when the moon was full and round, a secret unfolded, one no human had ever witnessed. On such nights, the animals of the forest gained a gift beyond all imagination: they could speak. From burrows, nests, and dens, they began to stir. The owl left her perch, wings beating soundlessly against the air. The tortoise, slow and steady, dragged himself across the roots of trees. Monkeys swung from branches, their chatter hushed with anticipation. Lions padded silently, their golden eyes glowing in the dark. Even the elephants, massive and solemn, moved with reverence toward the great Irako tree, the oldest, tallest tree in the land, said to be as old as the forest itself. There, under its sprawling branches, the council of the forest would meet. The owl perched high upon the Irako, her feathers glowing faintly under the moon. She opened her wings wide, calling the meeting to order. "Brothers and sisters," she said, her voice echoing across the clearing, "danger has entered our home. The humans have begun cutting trees along the riverbank. They think only of wood for their houses and fires, but they do not see what we see. If they continue, the river will shrink. If the river dies, so too will the forest." Gasps and murmurs filled the gathering. The lion rose, mane glowing like a crown. "If the river dries, the prey will vanish. The grass will wither. Even I, who fear nothing, will fall to hunger." The parrot flapped her wings furiously, her bright feathers flashing. "Then let us go to the humans," she squawked. "Let us speak to them in their own tongue. Surely, they will stop when they hear our voices." But the tortoise laughed softly, his deep eyes shining with age. "Humans. They are deaf to wisdom, even when it comes from their own kind. If they hear us speak, they will not bow in respect, they will call us demons. They will come with fire and spears to silence us. No, friends. Words will not save us. Only signs. The forest itself must warn them." The owl considered his words, then slowly nodded. "Then it is decided. We shall send messages, not with tongues, but with deeds." At dawn, while the lumbermen sharpened their axes, the beavers began their task. They gathered branches, logs, and reeds, dragging them through the mud with tireless energy. But this time, they did not build their dams to hold water back. They built them into shapes. Each dam stretched like an arrow, pointing downstream, toward the part of the river that was growing shallow. When one of the woodcutters stopped to drink, he noticed. "Strange," he muttered, squinting at the water. "The beavers, they build like arrows. As if showing us something." Another laughed. "Bah! You see patterns where there are none. Beavers build as they please." But the youngest among them, a boy of perhaps 10, lingered. His wide eyes studied the dam, the way every branch pointed the same direction. In his small chest, a spark of curiosity was lit. That afternoon, the monkeys swung through the canopy, gathering fruits, mangoes, guavas, oranges heavy with juice. But when they split the fruits open, the seeds inside were dry, lifeless, robbed of water. Chattering softly, the monkeys carried the fruits down to the humans' camp. They did not throw them in anger. Instead, they placed them carefully on the ground, like gifts, like warnings. The boy noticed first. He picked up a guava, cracked open and shriveled. "Papa," he cried. "Look! Even the fruits have no water in them. Something is wrong." But his father only laughed and ruffled his hair. "Fruits spoil quickly, my son. That is all. Do not trouble yourself with such things." Still, the boy could not shake the thought. It was as if the forest itself was trying to speak. By evening, the elephants made their stand. When the woodcutters raised their axes against the riverside trees, the elephants formed a wall, massive bodies pressed together, tusks gleaming. Every time an axe struck bark, the elephants trumpeted in unison. The sound was deafening, like thunder rolling through the sky. The men froze, unsettled. "These beasts," one whispered. "They defend the trees. As though they know what we do." Another spat on the ground. "Superstition. They are animals, nothing more." But though the men laughed, unease spread like a shadow. As twilight fell, a herd of deer appeared at the edge of the clearing. They stood motionless, their eyes glowing gold in the firelight. Then, as if guided by one mind, they turned and bolted, not into the thick forest, but away from the river, toward the higher hills where the soil was firm. The boy pointed, his small hand trembling. "Papa! Look! They are showing us where to go. They are leading us away from the river." But his father only shook his head. "You imagine too much, child. Deer run where they will." That night, the boy lay awake, staring at the flickering campfire. He thought of the beavers, the fruits, the elephants, the deer. He thought of how everything seemed to point to the river. Slowly, sleep claimed him. And in his dream, the owl appeared. Her eyes glowed like suns, ancient and wise. "Child of man," she said, her voice echoing deep and low, "you have the heart to listen where others do not. The river is the lifeblood of the forest. Protect it, and it will protect you. But if it dies, so too will you and your people." The boy woke with a start, his heart pounding. The next morning, he told his father everything. "The owl spoke to me, Papa. She said the river is alive, and it is begging for our help." But his father only chuckled. "An owl? Speaking? My son, dreams are dreams. You must learn not to chase shadows." Still, a flicker of doubt crossed the man's eyes. He had seen the strange signs. He had felt the unease in his bones. Days passed, and the river grew thinner. Fish flopped helplessly on the banks, gasping for breath. The soil cracked. Even the trees beyond the riverside began to droop, their leaves curling at the edges. The woodcutters stood in disbelief. "This cannot be," one muttered. "The river has always run strong. Why does it fail now?" Fear crept into their voices, though none dared to admit it aloud. The boy, his voice trembling but clear, stepped forward. "It is the forest. The animals are warning us. If we keep cutting the riverside trees, the water will vanish forever." Some laughed, shaking their heads. "Child's tales," they scoffed. But others glanced uneasily at the river, now only a thin trickle. That night, the boy dreamed again. The owl returned, her wings spread wide, her eyes burning bright. She showed him visions, the riverbed cracked and empty, animals collapsing in hunger, humans fleeing their dead fields. Her voice echoed like thunder. "Tell them. Tell them before it is too late." The boy awoke in tears. For the first time, the father listened. He had seen the shrinking river with his own eyes. He had heard the elephants' trumpets, seen the deer's strange march. Gathering the men, he spoke. Perhaps the forest is speaking. Perhaps we are blind, and only my son has eyes to see." The woodcutters held a meeting. Tension filled the air. "We must cut to feed our families," one cried. "If the river dies, we will all starve," shouted another. The boy stood among them, small yet brave. His voice cut through the noise. "Protect the river, and it will protect you. Destroy it, and you destroy yourselves." The men argued until the stars filled the sky. At last, they agreed. The riverside trees would be spared. They would cut only deeper in the forest, far from the water's edge. Slowly, the river began to return. Fish darted once more beneath its surface. The soil softened, and the trees lifted their weary branches. That night, the animals gathered again beneath the Irako. The owl spread her wings, her voice rich with pride. "Our message has been heard. The forest breathes again." The lion rumbled. "The boy was our bridge. Through him, man and beast are bound." The tortoise nodded wisely. Sometimes, the smallest voice carries the greatest truth. From that day on, the riverside trees were never touched again. The boy grew into a man, a guardian of the forest. The people called him the listener, for he alone could hear what others ignored. And still, every full moon, the animals gathered. Their voices rose in the night, not of fear, but of hope, of unity. For they knew, as long as one child of man could listen, the forest would endure. And so, the secret of the talking animals remained hidden from most, but carried in the heart of one boy who chose to listen. And sometimes, the greatest wisdom in the world does not lie in the strength of men, but in their willingness to hear the voices of the earth.